other considerations. Insurance. You just got to embrace liability. It's not something to run away from, to be afraid of. You just got to embrace liability. And the easiest way to protect against liability is just have adequate insurance. Have an error and omissions policy that protects you for those things that I was talking about. Have something that there's some force of nature that interferes with your ability to perform. A heart attack, tornado destroys your office and destroys all your tools and all your raw materials, and you cannot perform. Having insurance to protect you from whatever may arise out of those situations is just good peace of mind. Having an umbrella policy, getting together with your local network, whoever's in your business network, to find what insurance policies, if any, you may need and get them. Don't be afraid to do business. Just make sure you have adequate insurance to protect you, the company, your personal assets, and that will offer not only a great peace of mind, but also protect even further the assets that you have earned over the course of your hard work and you don't want at risk because you're operating a business. I just want to touch on one thing, though, that you got to remember when you've got a corporate entity. A corporate entity cannot appear pro se in litigation in the state of Texas. It's prohibited by law. And that means if a corporate entity gets sued in the state of Texas, it needs to be represented by counsel who is licensed before that court. And that's critical to remember because you may have a partnership or a friendship or a network connection with an attorney, and that your corporate entity may get sued in the Northern District of Texas Federal Court or in any number of the other district federal courts in Texas. You got to make sure your attorney's licensed in that court, and you cannot file a pro se answer in that court. In other words, you've got to be that corporate entity has got to be represented by counsel, or that answer doesn't count, and that corporate entity can still be moved against for a default judgment, which can create a whole host of problems which you need to avoid. So while we're talking about the subject of litigation when it comes to corporate entities, don't ignore lawsuits. Corporate entities get served lawsuits, and sometimes they're incorporated in Delaware or in Nevada, and they have these very lengthy service agent process. It goes and sits on somebody's desk for 15 days, which then it goes to another person's desk, and then finally it may get emailed to the client in Tennessee. Here's what I'll tell you. Make sure that you've got your notice situation locked down. If your corporate entity is ever sued, you have 20 days to answer a lawsuit generally in Texas. And there's some exceptions to that rule that's not worth getting into. But just remember, as a general rule, 20 days to answer a lawsuit in Texas and 30 days to remove a lawsuit from the date of service, from the date you actually got notice of the lawsuit, to federal court. And federal court is a valuable right, and you don't want to waive it, especially if you're an out-of-state business. So things to think about is to make sure that your notice provisions, whoever is handling your service or process, whether you pay a corporate fee, an annual fee to a corporate process server to send up the red flag, the smoke signal, whatever you want, to turn on the alarm when you get served with process of a lawsuit, to make sure that your clock is ticking on that 20 to 30 day window, because I've seen it happen a number of times where clients who have a valuable right, for example, the right to challenge a case in federal court, have lost that right because of some delay between getting it from the process service company in Delaware, where the company was originally founded years and years ago, because Delaware has some advantage in corporate formation, or it just takes too long to get from the process service company in Nevada. Again, Nevada's a state where a lot of people like to form entities for certain reasons, mostly anonymity, which Texas doesn't allow.